Mr. Andrés López Obrador, President of the Mexican States, United Mexican States, Head of State and Government of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, Mr. President of the European Council, Secretary of, of CEPAL, and members of the delegations. I bring the brother and sisterly salutation from the Peruvian people. I bring the salutations of the Aymara, Aguajún, Conibol, Shipibo peoples, women and men that have never voiced in my homeland, but today I am strengthened because it's the first time that I come out of the country as head of state. And in this summer summit, I think it's important to say to the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean, this is a testimony of our historic duties, the call of unity of our peoples. In the context of this pandemic, we have to understand that the pandemic came to stay in our countries. But we have to understand the pandemic is not only a health issue, it's a historical issue. It's a problem that we have faced during years because we have always said during the meetings different mottos. We have talked about unity, we have addressed the leaders, but we have to act now. And it's important to understand that only united we will achieve our goals, and not we will not achieve our goals if we're not united. Millions of Peruvians were waiting to come out of this pandemic, a pandemic that have taken the life of peoples around the world and have affected more than 200,000 Peruvians. So the CELAC must join efforts so our territories has access to international financing so as to contribute to these goals of development of our economies that have been impacted by the effect of the pandemic. That's why I joined the call on the consolidation of democracy, of food security, the universal access to education, the fight against climate change, against corruption that affects all the institutions of states, against organized crime, against terrorism. We have to fight for the protections of human rights, the freedoms of all of the peoples, the gender equality, respect of indigenous and Afro-descendants peoples, among others. Many peoples are still waiting for the actions of authorities and governments. It is important to say that the integration of Latin America and the Caribbean has to be a continuous endeavor, a continuous activity, a daily issue, so we address the needs of our peoples beyond our ideological and political differences. That's why we support the establishment of the Latin American and Caribbean space agencies so as to strengthen our technological and capacities. It is important to establish the CELAC fund so we better address climate disasters and support our countries during crisis, during times of emergencies. The necessity of integration in Latin America and the Caribbean is not a current issue just like that. It's a necessity. So we accomplish the dreams of Bolivar, San Martin, and Tupac Amaru. The dream of these leaders has to be accomplished today. Jose Carlo Mariategui last century said that the emancipation out of poverty was not a national issue but international issue. My government, elected by sovereign decisions of the Peruvian peoples, will start a new republic 200 years after the establishment of our independence, within the framework of our legal institutions, our constitutions, we have endeavors to make the reforms that the country requires to right the what is wrong socially and economically, so as to fight poverty and inequality and lack of access to the to education and social institutions. So we call on the unity of Latin American and Caribbean peoples. Some a goal that we want to achieve during this summit and in other international bodies. I recognize the work of Mexico, our host, to reach agreements based on common objectives and goals. And I congratulate Mexico also for this call for integration and understanding. Peru comes to this summit during important times in our history, the commemoration of our bicentennial. We recognize ourselves with you, our brothers and sisters in Latin America and the Caribbean. We have to preserve this integration of brothers and sisters in Latin America and the Caribbean. As we reflect on these historical effects, I would like to announce that our country will continue with having diplomatic relations with all of the countries of Latin America and the Caribbean without discriminations. It's time to act. It's time to go from some speeches to actions. United always, never without unity. Thank you very much.